Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic, the reality of falling in love. We'll explore how our expectations often differ from real-life experiences, and I'll share some insights on what love really looks like beyond the movies and social media. So, let's get started and see what this journey has in store for us. That disconnect between what we imagine relationships to be and what they actually are often leads to unnecessary confusion and even pressure. It's something many of us experience, especially when we're bombarded with idealized images of love and partnership. As someone who has been single for over a decade, I can tell you that being single isn't a failure or a sign of something wrong. In fact, I've come to see it as a time of liberation and empowerment. It's a period that can be deeply instructive, helping us learn more about ourselves. The time spent alone isn't just about waiting. It's about shaping your future relationships in meaningful, profound ways. So, embracing this phase can be incredibly valuable, aligning with our overall goal of understanding and improving how we connect with others. So, why are you still single? Despite what we might hope, many people today face challenges when it comes to finding that special someone. It's a common experience, and understanding why can really help us move forward. Today, I want to break down 5 of the most common reasons people find themselves still single. And more importantly, I'll share some practical ideas on what you can do about each one. The goal here is to empower you with insights that not only explain the obstacles, but also point toward solutions. Remember, this is all part of the bigger picture of building healthier relationships and ultimately finding that partner who's right for you. So, let's dive into these reasons and explore how to overcome them together. Let's talk about unrealistic standards. Modern culture is really good at bombarding us with these curated images of what relationships should look like. We often see these perfect relationship goals on Instagram, right? Flawless couples, romantic scenes that seem almost too perfect. Then there are TV dramas, where romance is scripted and exaggerated for entertainment. And even on dating shows, everything looks staged and polished. What happens over time is that we start to build this idealized mental image of love, that it should be always perfect, always picture perfect. But in reality, love is much more complex, authentic, and sometimes messy. This disconnect can make us feel like we're not measuring up or that real relationships aren't enough. Understanding this is really important because it ties into the broader theme of how unrealistic expectations can shape our perceptions and experiences of love. Recognizing these false standards helps us to be more realistic and compassionate with ourselves and our partners. So the problem is that real people rarely match those perfect fantasy checklists we often have. The ideal partner we imagine in our heads. And what happens is, if we cling too tightly to this rigid idea of perfection, we might overlook someone truly genuine and compatible. Sometimes, they just don't fit that ideal mold we've created. It's important to remember that attraction is definitely a key ingredient, but deep, meaningful relationships are really built on things like shared values, trust, and emotional connection. Those qualities matter far more than just flawless looks or superficial traits. The takeaway here is to keep your standards high, but be mindful of what you're actually expecting. There's a difference between healthy expectations, like kindness, respect, and emotional maturity, and unrealistic fantasy demands such as the perfect body, endless excitement, or scripted gestures. By understanding that distinction, you open yourself up to more authentic connections and avoid dismissing someone who could truly be a great match just because they don't check every superficial box. Let's talk about unhealed trauma. Our past experiences, whether childhood wounds, toxic relationships, or painful breakups, leave marks on us. Often, we carry unresolved hurt into new relationships without even realizing it, and that can lead to unintentional sabotage. Trauma can make us distrustful, hypervigilant, or even afraid of intimacy itself. But here's an important truth. No partner can heal you. That healing is something only you can do for yourself. Engaging in practices like journaling, therapy, mindfulness, and spending time in solitude can all be powerful tools to process that old pain. By doing this work, we prevent our unresolved hurt from becoming baggage that we pass on to someone else. The key takeaway here is that healing isn't optional. It's a prerequisite for a healthy, peaceful relationship. Ultimately, a peaceful relationship begins with being at peace with yourself. Let's talk about the next common barrier: not putting yourself out there. Technology has really changed how we live our daily lives. Think about remote work, online shopping, food delivery, all from the comfort of our homes. It's no surprise that many singles find their social lives shrinking to just screens and apps. Sure, dating apps offer some opportunities, but all that endless swiping can sometimes replace the genuine connection we really need. The hard truth is, if you want to meet people, you have to be where people are. That means making eye contact, sharing a laugh, having spontaneous conversations, things that are really tough to do through a phone or a screen. So my takeaway is this: step outside your comfort zone. Attend events, join groups that match your interests, or just strike up conversations in everyday settings like at a coffee shop or a park. Being vulnerable in real life is where true chemistry begins, and that's what really makes a difference in building meaningful connections. When we don't value ourselves, it becomes really difficult to believe that others will value us too. Low self-esteem can create a cycle that feeds itself. When you feel insecure, you tend to hide or withdraw, and as a result, potential partners never really get to see the full, authentic you. It's important to remember that beauty isn't about having flawless skin or a perfectly sculpted body. True beauty is communicated through confidence, presence, and openness. Your body language speaks volumes, more than words sometimes. For example, slouched posture or looking down can project insecurity, but making eye contact and offering a genuine smile radiates warmth and self-assurance. The key takeaway here is that self-esteem isn't something you build overnight. It's a gradual process, and every small act of self-respect adds up. The more you recognize your own worth, the more others will see it in you too. Let's take a moment to acknowledge something that's often overlooked. Some people choose to stay single intentionally. Independence, freedom, and self-direction are powerful gifts that many of us value deeply. For a lot of us, it actually feels safer and more fulfilling to remain single rather than enter a relationship just to avoid loneliness. Of course, there will be lonely nights sometimes. There's no denying that. But forced companionship, even if it temporarily eases loneliness, can actually feel much lonelier in the long run. The real key here is to recognize whether your singleness is driven by an unconscious fear. That's more about avoiding loneliness, or a conscious, deliberate choice. And that's an important distinction. Remember, being single isn't a deficiency. It's a valid lifestyle choice. If someone new comes into your life, they should add to your happiness, not fill a void or serve as the missing piece of your puzzle. So, embracing your choice to be single, when it's a conscious decision, can be incredibly empowering and true to who you are. So, as we wrap up today's presentation, I want to leave you with some final thoughts. In our modern world, especially for women in their 30s, the external pressures can be overwhelming. It's easy to fall into the mindset that being single is somehow a problem that needs fixing. But here's the important truth: there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Love, real love, isn't about finding someone to complete you. It's about building a life that's fulfilling on your own. When you do that, if someone comes into your life, they're simply going to enhance what you've already created. So if you're single right now, I encourage you to embrace it. Use this time to learn, to grow, and to enjoy your freedom. Because when the right person shows up, not through some cinematic coincidence, but naturally in the flow of real life, you'll be ready. You'll be whole, confident, and open to welcoming love when it's truly right for you.